Yes, also, I believe online, I saw Kate De La Garza. I think Chow Pham is on as well. To my right here is Justin Hicks from Bolt Architecture. And behind me also is Ryan Jordan, my colleague here with Marathon Engineering. I think your question was pertaining to the sidewalk on Dryden Road.
Yeah.
Is that primarily? So Ray, if I could try to share my screen.
Yep, you should be able to.
There we go. So the question came up, knowing that's a town standard for sidewalks along frontages here in the town of Dryden. We have sidewalks along Freeze Road, and then a question that Councilman Land was asking about, particularly are the sidewalks, all the length of sidewalk along Dryden Road. We have it on there, but then the question came up, I believe, at the planning board level as to who's going to own and maintain it. You know, INHS will be responsible for snow removal, but knowing that the town really doesn't have sidewalk infrastructure on either side of Dryden Road and Freeze Road, to really own and maintain that section of sidewalk, INHS would be likely on the hook for snow removal, and the question comes into play.
There are sidewalks on
You're
the Mount Pleasant side of.
correct. I apologize.
So that struck me as a little bit of an oddity that we would start sidewalks on the, what would you say, the east side of the.
Yeah, and I do believe that the crux of the conversation at the planning board level is that it's a zoning requirement, I believe, for any new projects. So we try to get around that, and I think DOT was also asking about the sidewalk to nowhere. You know, there's no development potential up the north side of the development, heading north on Dryden Road. But we all came around to the fact that it's a code requirement, and if we didn't have it in there, then that would trigger a need for a variance technically. So I believe at the planning board level, we discussed moving the sidewalk inboard to get the sidewalk out of DOT's right of way, because DOT did come back and say that they don't want it in the right of way, primarily because there's no sidewalks heading north on Dryden Road. So the idea at the planning board level was to move it interior to the lot, which would decrease the usable green space or yard of those single family homes here along Dryden Road by about 5 feet. So that's, that's what we're looking at here. We are still in conversations with the DOT on that sidewalk as to whether or not it still can reside in the DOT's right of way. And I think it's going to come down to a conversation between our team and the town DPW as to really whether or not that sidewalk can still reside in DOT's right of way and not on private property, if DOT is still amenable to that.
Yeah, okay.
So,
And I know it's too late in the game for this board to try and override what the planning board's already approved, but just want everyone to know that sometimes these requirements that we have some inefficient results. Like the development at the corner of Forest Home and 366 has a sidewalk, but then somebody put a fence at the end of it. And it's got to be one of the more headachy things I know to look at in our town is to see this nice sidewalk, which we required, and it goes right into a fence.
yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, Victoria, but INHS is not opposed to putting in the sidewalk. We're all, very pedestrian friendly. It's just a matter of DOT's opinion is that there's no development potential north on Dryden Road. So why have a sidewalk that really goes to nowhere? Especially when we also have internal sidewalks that lead folks from the single family homes out to, say, the bus stop. And so on. But we're still going to try to put it in. We recognize it's a town requirement first and foremost as to where that lands. Whether it's
and what did that do to the cost of the project? I mean,
cost, I'd have to look at that, I think. It's not insignificant. You're talking across the entire frontage, but I'd have to get back to the certain dollar amount,
I think it will be interesting though to see, because there are trails, hiking trails up that direction. I'm not sure exactly where they'll intersect, but it might be surprising to find that there's more pedestrian traffic than we would expect.
Plantations has trails a short distance up from there.
Yeah.
That could be a destination to go in that direction, I suppose.
Then there's a cut up to the rail trail too, so who knows, maybe there's future opportunity there.
The. Well, the rail trail's further east. Yeah, it's further out past those fields.
I know,
But-
you have to go ways, but
Yeah,
there's a unofficial route.
The main issue before the board tonight, should I wait on talking about this or is this?
well, we gotta do the, I guess we have to finish this and then the pilot would be next.
Okay, so about the SUP is the size of the building and how that
Right.
requires a special use permit to override the building size requirements in our zoning law. However, in the Varna plan, it is envisioned a 10,000 square foot building in that district. And I was wondering if that was something that guided your decision making on this. Did you look at the Varna plan and see? Yeah. So you reviewed that and you saw that and, you know, we go back and forth and, you know, getting our inspiration from the Varna plan or of course our zoning law. If there's a discrepancy between the two and, there's a difference, but I don't think it's a huge difference between two 5,000 square foot building that might be 10 feet apart or putting them out.
Yeah, you would have to have building separations. Each building would have to have its own elevator, so it just starts to add costs and it would actually take up more site footprint than what we're having shown here. It just turns out to be pretty inefficient. You know,
So, you know, sometimes we set these limitations and they prove more inefficient than effective. In cases like this, and that's why I'm inclined to support the SUP.
Anybody else have any?
No, I think the only there's only two questions I've heard from a few people. One is, does it look like we may need to be requesting this permission to have a stoplight at this intersection due to line of sight trying to come up from the bridge and line of sight visibility at that roadway?
I'll just say, these are all good questions, but that was done with the planning board.
Okay,
They vetted all this stuff. Our obligation here is really the size of the building. That's, yeah, so we talked about that and the DOT, New York State DOT is adamant about not putting in
okay.
a stoplight there. There's a blinking light, which wasn't there before.
Yeah.
There will be a stoplight a short distance away at the Fields Road Bridge.
The designs of the building will allow for line of sight, I guess, is then the question.
Yeah,
It's not gonna impede the current state.
That would be a question for,
Okay,
yeah, because making that left turn, if there's and like there shouldn't be any vegetation at all at that corner. Anyway, because right now it's bad enough.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody who's on Zoom who had a comment or question? So. Okay, well,
you may know this, but we had somebody come to our last month meeting and express their interest in renting one of the units and thought maybe this would be a good time to sign it.
Yeah.
So you got one of the.
the houses. Yeah.
So, you know, there's a need out there.
So, I'm gonna close the public hearing then. And we don't have to worry about the seeker then, since.
No, that's already been done.
All
So
done.
you have draft resolution, one of the whereas is in there, alludes to the seeker already being done.
Yep. So I'm gonna just scroll through it. Yeah, did you have some?
Well, I just want to point out that the housing, the affordable workforce housing committee. Sort of pass a resolution to support the special SOP.
In support of that?
In support of.
Yeah.
No, it's
I
nice.
saw that, yeah. That's right.
Is that,
It's F, 7F.
I got a 7F, that says something else.
Me too.
You got an earlier version. It's fine.
What do you have?
Well, I think, if this would be a good time to bring up the resolution. Do you want to read it or
I can,
the resolved?
the housing resolution. Yeah, I have it. I can.
Oh,
I can
Christine
share
already.
it.
Okay.
Christina.
Yeah, I have it up there right now.
Okay,
She has a better point.
so even though it's up there, we still read it, right?
Don't have to.
It's up to you guys.
Maybe just the resolve.
Okay, so this is a resolution from the Affordable Workforce Housing Committee. Whereas housing affordability remains a serious issue in Dryden, with many residents struggling to find available units that meet their needs and budgets. And whereas housing production targets established by the Tompkins County Housing Strategy have fallen short due to high loan interest rates, labor shortages, and increased prices of construction materials and labors. And whereas a key goal in the Dryden Comprehensive Plan is to ensure the construction of a variety of denser, affordable housing choices for all town residents, the plan also encourages partnerships between the town and not-for-profit organizations to accomplish this goal. And whereas the Freeze Road project offers town residents a variety of housing choices and will help increase the county housing production goals, therefore be it resolved, the town of Dryden's Affordable and Workforce Housing Committee recommends the Dryden Town Board grant a special use permit to Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services for 5 through 9 Freeze Road project, allowing building number 1 floor area to exceed Varna's zoning code of a 5,000 square feet maximum.
Thank you. All right, so I'll move the resolution to approve the special use permit.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Yeah,
Everybody second.
You get there before.
Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. All right, so then the next piece. is- So there's a proposed pilot agreement. Between INHS and Town of Dryden. So Ray, do you have the?
They're in the board documents list, but I can also pull them up.
Yeah, I have the resolution and the agreement, but I'm looking for there was a chart.
Yeah, those are the two pieces. What were you looking
Now,
for?
there's a chart that just showed
There's the financial spreadsheet.
yeah, I was looking. So I think it's easier to look at than the agreement itself. So it's for a 30-year pilot, it's a proposal. Initial amount of $31,313 per year. And subsequent amounts are determined by its paragraph 4C. Pilot payments shall be the greater the amount of either 4A or 12% of the net operating income for the project. So there's a floor, which is the 31,000, but it may go higher. Well, a little higher. Um. Is there anything you wanted to speak to about the pilot on this?
Um, Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, yeah, so we're pursuing the pilot so that we can have, a financially viable project that can be maintained for the long term. And so what we had worked out is the calculation that worked best with our budget was the 12% of NOI for the first 15 years, and then it does go up to the 15% of NOI after that period. And that's pretty much.
Is this the same, is this similar, is this the same formula used for the other like project in Trumansburg and?
This is likely similar. I did not work on the Truman Park project, so I don't have the specific amount of it, but I would.
My understanding, it's similar to what you did in Truman's.
Oh, yeah, the whole format of this. Is
Yeah,
very similar.
and the pilot and the incentives that the local government granted to help advance the project that we all want to see happen. But yeah, this is a concession we make as taxpayers, and in addition to the 50,000 that we're kicking in from the housing trust fund, so we got skin in the game, and this is we're
Yeah, I'm very appreciative
for our town.
of the consideration of the pilot.
But that spot's set vacant for too long. And the needs there, so we all want to see this happen. Yeah. And you would say without it, that the project wouldn't go forward.
Yeah, it's very likely that the project would not be able to go forward without the pilot. Yes, that's accurate.
Okay, so I'm just gonna scroll through it just so it shows on the meeting.
You have another project like this in mind for another community, since you worked in Hermansburg, you've worked in Montour Falls, I believe, and
In Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen.
Yeah, we have another project that I'm working on right now in the village of Cayuga, that's, straight north of here. And then for pipeline projects right now, I mean, we're always looking for new deals. We looked at an opportunity in Portland not too long ago. That one's not currently moving forward at this time, but we're looking at we have a pipeline project in Ithaca. But we don't really have another project right now that's outside of Ithaca. That's in the works for the moment.
But this is a model you might take other places.
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah, right now the project in the village of Cayuga, that was a 1950s elementary school that was decommissioned about 5 years ago. And so that whole building is going to be renovated, and then we're building 16 townhouses on the same site.
Nice.
And then the Trumansburg project is similar, if any of you are familiar with that, where it's a multifamily building, then there's some detached townhouses next to it, and then there's going to be similarly for sale affordable housing, and there's some for sale market rate housing on that property as well.
That would be from the ground up as opposed to a renovation, right?
Yeah, that one is ground up.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a pretty good mix of 100% new construction and renovation of existing buildings.
Okay. So I'm gonna share the resolution, but I'll move it. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, I can go. Everybody ready to vote, or is there any more discussion?
No, I think we've had a good look at this.
Councilperson Burris Mendo?
Yes.
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 Yes, all right, thank you.
Pretty much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All right. Um, Right, so then next up, we have I don't know. I mean, Mike comes in usually a little bit later, so.
Sometimes
He'll
he has-
probably get here like 6:30 because he's
Right.
got TC3 meeting usually. Um. Is that, Chris, do you have anything or?
So as always, I've been sending you awesome emails on a variety of topics. We can do it either way. I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody's got. I know there's a bunch of people sitting behind us here that are gonna wanna speak at length about fire department stuff, so. If you do have any questions, you'd rather just send me an email, I'm fine with that too, whatever you folks want.
Thank you for all the information you sent.
Yeah, no, unless I don't have anything right. at the
Okay.
moment.
Right?
Right, so then next up, we have it's a resolution for standard workday reporting.
Mhm.
For town clerk, so I'll move this.
I'll second.
Let me just-
Oh, Councilperson Martis Monroe.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Then. The next thing. So then. So next we have we just set the public hearing. Guess could this get out in time for next week? The local levy, or the tax cap. So set it for October. October 10th. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so we set that for October 10th at 6:05.
I'm very well.
Awesome.
So this is just, I don't know, should have done this in August, but
Better late than never.
I don't think it'll surprise anyone.
and just so folks understand, like all the special districts, ambulance, fire, water, sewer, lighting, everything. Is counted towards our cap, even the ones where only the users pay, so. So this is more of it doesn't really. I don't know, that has never affected how we do our budget, let me put it like that.
No, it's just the call.
It's the legacy of Cuomo, so. All right, so that'll be October 10th, 6:05. And. Then next we have. It's a resolution. To authorize purchase and installation of electric vehicle charging station at DPW garage. It's from Climate Smart, I guess, yeah. So, sir,
Hey, Alice.
Alice, did you, was there something you wanted to say about this or no? Cause you guys applied, I guess did the work on this one, but.
Yes. I'm proud to say that the Clarksburg Community Task Force has earned points. From having conducted a successful clean heat and cooling campaign, all you need is a 2% heat hot water installations in our town. We earned $10,000 grant, and we are proposing here to spend that. These grants can only be spent on impacts that will, on actions that will have a high impact on the town reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And so one of the pre-approved projects is to install the charging station. We have worked with the DPW chief, and he is interested in further electrifying the fleet. And that will require having EV charging at the highway garage. Now, some people may know that we already have an EV charging station open to the public at Town Hall. This would be a dedicated station for pickup trucks and other vehicles that we can move to electric from fossil fuel power. So this resolution asks for your authorization for the town supervisor to enter into a contract with NYSERDA to spend the $10,000 grant money, which we believe will cover the cost of the EV charging station and installation charges.
Move that,
I'll move it.
you move it, all right, I'll second it then.
Thanks for your work on this.
Yeah, thank you, Alice.
Councilperson Vargas Mandan,
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes. All right, cool.
Do we ever have, I'm sorry, I'm out of order here, but do we ever have the public use of our charging station up here? Do we ever get?
Definitely seeing vehicles parked
Yeah, coming, getting, yeah, that's good to know.
All right, and then we have another another resolution as well. It's another so to authorize the contract with Ace HVAC Groton for installation of heat pumps at the Dryden DPW office building. And this is a note from another grant. So
I'll move this one too.
come. Second,
Councilperson Vargas Mandan,
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
yes. Mhm.
Kudos. Making that happen.
And you just keep pumping the grants out, so that's. That's good. So what's the next one for, like 300,000 or something?
5,000 points, we're waiting for the final authorization to apply.
The next up, we have it's the needed basically board approval to sign the updated code enforcement agreement with the Village of Dryden. This takes into account with the increase, like, well, we had asked for what, a 10,000 increase, but this is gonna be spread over 2 years, so part of it for this contract, and then part will go in the next one. But it also, I think, accounts for recovering some of the settlement from that suit with, what's it called, Clements or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the total.
41,000.
Yeah, 41,000, so I'll move this.
Second.
Councilperson Vargas Mandan,
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right, and then we have a and this is for
The appointment?
Yeah.
there's another, it looks like there's another resolution to raise the number of voting members from 9 to 11.
Oh, that one, I've heard about that one.
There's like 3 versions of the agenda.
Right.
Well, this is something we've already discussed in public, I think on two, both in July and August. Did you find it?
Yeah, I have it.
Shall I speak on it?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Bob.
So what we want to do here is amend the authorizing resolution from 2016 for the Rail Trail Task Force in light of the reorganization that we're embracing with the passing of our founding chairman, Beck. And the Rail Trail Task Force is going strong. There's no worry. We're picking up the pieces and we were seeing the need for more membership and removing the requirement that members be already serving on advisory boards. The original rationale was for her to get the expertise from the various advisory boards to launch the Rail Trail Task Force, and we got that. We got a lot of support from the advisory boards, but now that it's its own thing, it doesn't really make sense to require advisory board members to double dip on these committees. We don't do that for the advisory boards that they, for other members on other advisory boards that they must serve on the Rail Trail Task Force. So we've outgrown that, model. So this resolution just increases the voting members from 9 to 11 and removes the requirement that task force members serve on certain town advisory committees. And so be it resolved that the task force shall include 11 voting members who are town residents. Service on another town advisory committee is no longer a requirement for appointment to the Rail Trail Task Force. Pretty straightforward stuff, and I will add that the task force passed a resolution, I think it was in July, in favor of this change, and I was part of that discussion and I encouraged it, so. That's why we have this in front of us, and hopefully it's non-controversial. And
Okay.
Yep, it's awesome.
I shall move it.
I'll second.
Councilperson Vargas,
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
you have a volunteer
Yep.
application from.
Yes, and that's, I guess that would be the next item on this, is to
Yeah.
approve the application of. No, that's
No,
for
he's
Climate
on-
Smart.
Was it Teresa? Doesn't he know?
I've already read that, so
Oh,
I just want to mention her name.
yes, Sue, from
Oh,
Shelley.
right, yeah.
Sorry, Sue Finicelli.
Yep.
Her name is Sue?
Sue.
No?
Sue.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, well, anyway, we have one.
We have a root committee system and it hasn't been reviewed by the project manager.
okay, we'll be back to the board about our new members.
Yeah, I know we have some other things that are gonna come up next week, a
Okay.
couple more, but the only one I put on for this week was. Sawyer Dickinson. For the Climate Smart Committee Task Force. So I'll move that.
I'll second. He's a good soccer player, so I think he'll do great.
Yeah.
That's, yeah,
Yes.
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 yes, and he doesn't like use fossil fuels to kick a soccer ball or something.
Takes very little.
Sawyer and, Hunter Barlow.
Hi.
Two members of the Garden High School Sustainability Club. That club, we've had a relationship from the Climate Smart Community staff for 2019. And, students, who serve on the Climate Smart Task Force are voting members. And, students who, we said represent from the Sustainability Club at Dryden High School have a history of supporting climate and actions taken by the town. For example, Garden High School students from the Sustainability Club researched and wrote letters promoting the adaptation of the New York State Stretch Energy Code, the stretch code available. They came and presented on that topic. High school students from Garden also helped us to pass the climate action plan, which is part of the update to the comprehensive plan. We were involved in helping the high school install a EV charging station there. And we have a project going right now to create a pilot demonstration project, pollinator friendly garden at Garden High School. So we really accomplishment for all the actions that you've taken. On behalf of climate activities and on behalf of the rail trail, and especially for your willingness to the point of high school students to work alongside our advisory board on climate issues. So, thanks.
Cool, thank you.
That is great activity.
Congratulations.
Thank you for joining the board.
All right. So I'll move to the next bit on the agenda, so we're kind of just moving a little faster than I thought we would. So
Well, my plan is,
that's, yeah, he'll be here, but, you know, I'm sure. But so so right, next up, we have the presentations of our from our fire departments of their strategic plans. So I guess first up would be Aetna, since we're just going in alphabetical order. If y'all are ready, if you're ready. Move to the next one, it's fine. Hi.
Hi, thank you.
And
for
I
sending
can
this to me to add.
screen too. so.
I hope you got it and just had a chance to review it and
Yeah.
everything. I'm just gonna quickly, go through the pages. So our first page is, basically our history of the health department stuff, and then our mission statement, vision statement, and core values. Then we have a breakdown of our leadership team. And, a little bit of tidbits of protection and prevention and safety. And knowing that this is a, live document, it's gonna change as the fire and EMS, demands change. Next is a little bit of our apparatus and what they are, how much water they hold, and everything, and our replacement years for each piece of apparatus. And then our building strength power. And then we get to our strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. We feel our strengths are, we have a pretty large tanker in the tunnel garden, and our weakness, I guess, want to point out is we have a working department, not always available. And our opportunity, we're gonna look to build a bunkhouse at our station so that we can serve the community better with manned people. And I believe between electric cars and solar panels is our threats. All the departments lack training on all that. And then our goals, it's on the last page. We broke them down 1 to 5 years and 1 to 3 years for different goals, and then each year we'll update what has been completed.
Mhm. Anybody have any questions?
Did you find that the process of writing this a good team effort for everyone?
For our department, yes,
Yeah.
we all had a say in what we made of this document.
I love that you have the goals listed out. That was one of the things we discussed almost a year ago, and you guys followed through and put that in there. To kind of visualize what your plan is and for outreach and recruitment.
I think it was a little bit of a benchmark to work for.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Increase membership by 10% a year.
Mhm.
Did you work from the templates provided last February with the modern?
I referred back to them a little
Yeah.
bit, but they're a bigger company and
Yeah.
things weren't actually involved in our department. So we took some things, but
You,
a
you,
lot didn't.
yeah, it looks like you maybe found a plan that fits your needs and
Mhm.
maybe even did some research on this, which is commendable.
How do you feel about it?
Oh, now that it's done, I feel fine. When I was working on it, I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get through this. But yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, for the recruitment part, like how many new members would that, I guess, mean? Because mean per year, you think? Because I know sometimes membership fluctuates just on its own.
Right, so right now, since, the last time I stood in front of you guys, we have taken in 4 new members. 2 of them are junior members, 2 are regular members.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'm hoping that this trend will continue at least, you know, a couple, 3 a year.
Mhm.
I don't know, you never can tell. We have, some things that we're working on, pamphlets and stuff like that, and we'd be able to recruit at open houses and, you know, door to door type thing.
Were the junior members related to people already there?
What's that?
Were the junior members, are they relatives of current members?
No, one is a, boy that his grandmother, he lives in a trailer park, and his grandmother reached out to us and said, I don't want to run around the trailer park, I want to go to
Oh, nice.
Good.
facility where he can learn stuff, and so.
Good.
We, go and pick him up and we bring him back home.
Good.
It works.
And then the regular members, how did you, or did they just walk into, or how did you get them?
One is a transfer, that's vacant, and the other one is a transfer from Dryden.
Okay, okay.
How much input or how easy was it to get input from your membership for the various points that you indicate under the SWOT? You know, for the strengths, you've got 4 different items, weaknesses, 3 opportunities. Were those done by the entire outfit or a core group of people?
A core group of people, who sat down and this document actually took a couple of months to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, each time we sat down and changed things and, you know, back and forth, it was a core group of people that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Then this, I guess you mentioned this bunker, like, who's that, like, what type of, is that for like gonna be for existing members or new members or?
Now, it will be kind of like our program where they can bring in like college students and stuff like that, that are able to be there and man the station and go on calls and stuff like that. We're hoping, we're just, you know, preliminary plans of it, we're hoping to maybe get it off the ground in the spring.
Have you, I'm not trying to be nosy, so tell me if I'm being nosy, I'll be quiet. Have you guys talked with like the other fire departments who went through the same exercise to see how much how much overlap there is? Or you wait until you're all done and then maybe get together and see if you can't help solve some of each other's problems?
I think right now we all did our own separate.
Oh, yeah, I just didn't know if you were cross pollinating yet. She just mentioned cross pollinator gardens, so now I've got it on the brain.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Do you?
Yeah, well, thank you for indulging in this first effort. It's helpful to us.
Well, thanks. All right, so the next up would be Neptune. Do you?
Unfortunately, we have serious. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we'll go next in line. That'll be WB Strong.
Hello, everyone, how are you?
How are you? I'll share it up there.
Okay, so, I guess I'll start out with, the way that we decided to conduct our plan, Dave Johnson has done this SWAT exercise lots of times. He's business owner, he's our board president, so he was kind of the one that ran this. He would be here, except he's traipsing around Alaska right now, so,
Nice.
sure. I know. To do with this.
He's having fun.
So we did a company-wide exercise, so we did it almost kind of like a silent auction style, where we had these big pads up on the walls with sticky notes, and we had, you know, strengths, weaknesses, and then just kind of had everybody walk around the room, and that gives people time to kind of marinate on, you know, the different topics, kind of go back, evaluate, see what everybody else is, you know, saying. I've been in a couple of exercises that he's run before, and it's been just a really good meditative almost kind of session. So after that was done, we compiled all of the sticky notes and analyzed them. And then as a board, we sat down and went through the themes. What, you know, there was obviously, you know, several themes that kind of stuck out. But just kind of, you know, brought up some really good questions. Sometimes, you know, in these kind of anonymous things, somebody will give a statement and you're like, well, that could go either way. We don't really know. So, you know, we're kind of exploring that and following up on some of those. So obviously, you know, one of the biggest concerns is membership. We run a pretty, I would say, efficient crew. You know, we have a smaller membership, but we have regular members. We have a lot of people that are have really good call rates, call attendance. You know, for the amount of equipment that we have and the number of people that we have, we run a pretty tight ship. So, you know, but, you know, people move, life, you know, life happens, right? You know, people leave. So membership is always something that's on our minds. You know, one of the things that we talked about during the board meeting was identifying who we have and who we don't have, right? So, you know, Varna tends to attract more college kids, and that's what they're great at. You know, we tend to lean more like blue collar, you know, that tends to be the people that come here. So, you know, are we utilizing BOCES? You know, are we reaching out to, you know, guidance counselors there to see if they have kids who are interested in this stuff, you know, doing a little bit more targeted, I don't want to say marketing, but fishing maybe. You know, we have a lot of young families, you know, myself, Greg Parker, you know, we have a group of us that have started, you know, having young kids, and for us to participate, that requires a different set of needs. So how are we, you know, bringing that in? We have a big Halloween event that's gotten really popular over the past couple of years. It's a safe place, you know, but it's also getting families in. So those types of things are going to be addressed with a membership committee. Once everybody's back and from our summer travels, we're going to be getting some people together to start really hammering and brainstorming on that. You know, and also, you know, utilizing the SAFER grant. Like I had a discussion with one of the chiefs over at Dryden about creating brochures that we'll be giving to like local real estate agents, and when they sell people homes, they'll be giving them that information, and that's where we don't have to do, but still getting word. So
that's a really good idea.
I don't have to do it.
That's even better.
Right, exactly. So just, you know, things like that of really trying to identify our membership needs, you know, helping them, you know, be comfortable and want to stay, and also making it easier for us to know who's going to be responding during daytime, you know, those types of things. So, you know, and that's always a conversation that we're having with you guys, and we want to continue to have. So training was another thing. You know, there's a lot of mixed responses. You know, again, the people that we have that are responding are really well trained because they're responding regularly. But you know, there's lots of opportunities. There's always opportunities for more training. So the trainings with Meridian has had a really positive feedback. Everybody's really enjoyed doing that. I got to be fished out of a gorge at one point. It was great, you know, great team building. So, but things like, you know, the solar farm, right, electric vehicles, those are things that we want to have more training on. We want to be able to respond and respond well, you know, we want to have a good plan, and know how to handle a problem when it comes up before it comes up. Let's see. Back to my. I apologize for not being a little bit more on top of this. I have an international flight in the morning, so my brain is a little working in overdrive right now. But yeah, and working with our members' schedules, you know, daytime training is hard, but finding a training schedule that works for the majority of our members is also really important to us as far as our goals. And then the last one is working on our capital reserve funding. So, you know, we've talked about this a lot. I've taken over the treasurer the past 2 years, and so I've pretty much finished bringing us out of the dark ages into the world of QuickBooks. So we're really getting a better picture of what we're spending, you know, kind of where things are. Actually using the budget template as a budget tracker that I email out periodically has been really helpful for everybody to know kind of what we have to work with and what we've used so far. And it also helps us to move money from different places, you know, okay, if we're gonna spend more money on this, then we need to find somewhere else to pull it from. You know, a big concern of ours is the price of fire trucks. And this is, you know, going to be a conversation that we have, you know, coming in the next coming weeks. But seeing what we've had, how our money's been handled, the opportunity with New York class has been awesome. You know, we've really been reaping the benefits of that. And so how do we, you know, work with you all, work with ourselves, and then, you know, leverage that to move forward. So we've made some, you know, budgeting decisions like refurbishing a truck instead of buying new to buy us some more time. We just, we're gonna be paving the parking lot at our station because it's got a pothole about the size of,
I have no idea why it's doing that.
The volume.
oh.
I'm looking right at her.
That's right.
I don't deserve this.
It's AI.
That's right.
The parking lot was a big one because.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody that's seen it knows it's in really bad shape. We've had a couple of incidents, luckily with members and the public, so.
Hey, I only fell in once.
Yeah.
It was a decision that had to be made that wasn't expected. It's a huge.
Yeah, so, but, you know, we had a vote as a company to use some of our social funds to do the front part because we use that mostly for the rentals and whatnot. And so that way we weren't totally depleting our capital reserves. You know, we were contributing to it. We've got skin in the game. But it was just a decision that needed to be made. So those types of things, but we're really trying to be strategic about how we're going to move forward. You know, how do we help answer questions and bring solutions to address inflation, right? That's just an everybody question. You know, that's going to be just a big thing moving forward is, you know, how do we, you know, best manage our resources and be good stewards of what we have. So, do y'all have any questions for me?
Good.
Well, sure.
Not y'all.
Great effort, you know, really appreciate what you've just described and getting the membership to participate in August. How many members got a chance to show up and put post-its?
It was 20. Yeah, 25.
Yeah.
25.
I was out of town, unfortunately, so I wasn't one of those members. I gave my input before I left, but.
I would say it's probably 25 people.
Yeah, well, that's great. And so you use that session to ask them to indicate the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities and threats.
Yeah, what we had,
Yeah.
we had those sticky notes that they just wrote on there, what they felt the threat was, what they felt an opportunity was, and they stuck them up on the board for. Where they fit in at different locations on different walls. So we basically got everybody's input, nobody knew who wrote what, because they're on a sticky note, and then at the end, they gathered them all.
But you can also see everybody else's responses as well, so. That's the reason.
Did you tabulate that anywhere? That
Yeah, Dave Johnson put it all in a spreadsheet, so and then he kind of brought it all and
Yeah.
we went off of that analysis, so.
Well, that's
Cool.
wonderful. That's really what we wanted. And you guys went to the next stage and really putting it out into a plan, you know, which is great. You know, SWOT is just a component of strategic planning, but it looks like you went the next step and looked at things that you should do and share that with us.
I appreciate seeing your plan and Varna's plan back to back because you can really see where you share a lot of the same, some of the same challenges came out. So I appreciate seeing those both together. That's, I think it'll be helpful too to understand the themes. And then hopefully there'll be places where the threats and weakness, the threats and the strengths balance out for the community
It
too.
was in there that, new addresses is, you know, re-looking at the possibility of the bunker program as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, down, but, so. That was heavily talked about.
It is on our radar.
That it's a-
Mhm. Yeah, because when you think you had it last, it was like 8 years ago or something, longer or 10.
Yeah, it's been over 2 years.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of good candidates that we haven't approached and haven't started the conversation yet, but we're kind of already eyeballing as potential. Good fits for that program. So we'll probably not this year, just we don't have the amount of manpower to be able to get off the ground, but we're hoping to really start laying groundwork next year.
So it'd be like because I think last time it was an apartment rental. Like,
Yeah,
right,
right, the apartment building. It's kind of on the end of the street there.
Yep.
It's actually been burned
Oh,
a few years ago.
okay.
That one's not an option anymore, so.
Yeah.
And those apartment buildings just.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
Mhm.
And it's something that we own, it's something we maintain and keep safe. Thank you to.
Mhm. Okay.
Was there a part of this process or your findings that surprised any of you?
There were.
In this hearing from all the membership and then trying to aggregate and make sense of it all.
Yeah, I think. The training one in particular, I think was an interesting one to look at because there are some people that feel really on top of the training and there are other people that were like, we need to train more. And we're like, we are, so then the question becomes, well, what's the disconnect? Is it scheduling? Is it ability, personal ability? Do they feel like they're welcome, that they'll be actually trained and not just kind of an observer? So that's kind of, I think, pushing some more conversations forward about, again, evaluating who we have and who we're, specifically inviting to, and really encouraging to participate and to get better, that I think sometimes especially like in firefighting, it's easy to just, want to send in the experienced person first, because there are definitely times where you should send in the experienced person first.
Mhm.
But we also want to be encouraging people who don't feel that confident to gain that confidence, right? Like we want people to get there. So how do we make that happen? So especially in talking with some of the newer members, we're just kind of trying to feel out, do you feel that you are trained well? And if not, then how do we help you, get there? So that was one I think that stuck out particularly.
And then,
One of the things that I guess surprised me. Was that we had quite a few comments from people and. Obviously, it was just on sticky notes.
Nice.
With the increase in camaraderie and working relationship between the departments, how much better it's gotten over the last 5, 6, 7 years. There were comments, how well we work with Dryden, how well we work with Barn, how well we work with that. And then we show up, everybody knows each other, everybody knows what we do. We don't have to ask, and that's just gotten so much better. That was one of the things that stuck out to me. It was so nice to see is that people recognize that relationship is getting so much better.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, question I had is how involved is it wasn't part of this, but how involved are the village trustees with you guys? I mean, do they?
If I want, I ask, and I have never been denied. If I want backing on something or, the whole thing that happened on Groton Ave, there was a plan that was in place, they were 100% supportive, and that unfortunately it finally happened. They were right there, whatever we wanted, whatever we needed. I've got the department, myself, I usually attend the meetings when I can, but, we have a great relationship with the village. There hasn't been anything negative since, I've been a chief now 5 years,
Mhm.
and, that relationship has gotten.
Okay. Anybody, anything else?
Listen, you're a numbers person, and I'm just
I
kind of
attempt to be a numbers person, but yes.
big picture thinking. Do you ever find it frustrating to have to put money away to buy as opposed to buy and pay off? You know, which seems to be the model with the volunteer fire departments have to squirrel away money and we have to appropriate it, and then you build up a reserve and then you can purchase. Would it be easier to buy first and pay off, just in the big picture?
Well. Easier in the terms of. I would say. Immediate use,
Yeah.
probably.
Right.
However, with the interest rates the way that they are. I. Would be concerned that we would end up losing money, because if we. Have. I mean, right now in New York class, our interest rates have been staying steady at 5%, which is great. But if we are financing on something that has a. At this point, it could be a 10%, 7% interest rate. I worry that in the long run. Without being able to look at solid numbers, and I'm sure Amanda would be a great resource for me to, kind of look into that more. I would just worry that over the long run, it wouldn't be the best use of money management, if that makes sense.
It may be more real dollars.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. We would all use it.
I mean, it's certainly worth
Financing.
exploring, but that's just kind of the immediate answer, so Nelson Mead, is our assistant chief, and he is a. Investment manager at, Cornell. The investment firm, so he works with a lot bigger numbers than I do, a lot more zeros. And I did pose that question to him, and that was his feedback to me, was that, we probably would end up losing money in the long run.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and
that part numbers it's been for 50 years. We were actually talking about that last night, and he said we haven't financed a truck in probably almost 40 years, and the reason for that is because back then it cost them more money to finance a truck than to budget.
Mhm.
The answer is it costs more money.
And yet we in our household budgeting do that all the time. It's kind of ironic.
Our household, but you don't have insurance.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, but is that the higher, because you as a nonprofit though, you're not able to leverage like the municipal bond market or anything, or do you know of?
I
Or there
talked
was
with
actually-
Nelson a little bit about that, and he was vaguely familiar with it. I am not familiar with that. So he had looked into that. It's certainly something I can put back in his report again and see. if we
Yeah,
can come
well,
up-
that's probably something for when the town-wide sort of version of this too, that's something we have to put on our list of
Things to look into.
list. That's what we're gonna have to do, because there's things that the town and even the village can access that the departments can't.
And just out of
So-
curiosity, I know. We had kind of talked a little bit about, having a little bit of the town's plan for the fire departments. Was that something that you all was looking into doing? Just,
Yeah,
we can plan until we're blue in the face, but if you guys have something that becomes more of a priority, then
Yeah.
we have to adjust and adapt for that. So should we be expecting any feedback on that, or?
I think that's the next step in this process. We
Okay.
want to see
Gotcha.
this step play out and then look at how these things might mesh
Okay,
and.
Yeah.
and-
I just,
and-
we talked about it and I wasn't sure where those things were lining up.
Yeah, we haven't lost sight of that.
It's hard to, it's for the departments, I mean, not speaking for them, but for them, the question would remain is, it's hard to do a 3 to 5 year plan for each department if we don't know what direction town. So, I mean, I think that's where initially when we were talking about this plan, we were all gonna sit down at some point. Talk about what direction you're looking at, what direction we're looking at, and how we're gonna get there. Because we all are looking in the same direction, we want the best public safety, for our community. What's the best way to do that, what's the cost effective way to do that? Cost effective.
Right, right.
Yeah, well, it's like planning just for all the, I mean, the future, which is all this development that's coming. So,
Well, I mean, in an increase, I mean.
Yeah.
We've got a truck being delivered next year, and, you know, the month that we signed the contract for our truck. The end of that month, that the cost of that, we didn't have to come up with it, but that same truck
Yeah.
at the end of the month went up $110,000. So, I mean, 17% is what they, over the last 2 years, 17% is the average of what a truck.
Oh, wait, yeah,
And our taxes aren't that.
Yeah.
Our budgets haven't been like that, so I mean, it's just, it's, we're slowly getting apart, that's just the conversation we're having.
well, the budgets have been going up double digits. And that's one of the reasons that brought us to this point. That's not sustainable, so we have to,
Yeah, for anybody.
yeah.
And I don't know how the companies can manufacture. companies.
That's right, our neighbors.
all right, well, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything?
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Arnold?
yeah, well, we can go back to Neptune. If you guys, unless you need a minute to get. 'Cause Neptune was number 2, but if you need a minute. Okay, you ready? Come on up.
Do we have Sarah?
No, I couldn't find that one.
Now, do you have copies of?
Yes.
How are you guys doing tonight? I'll scan.
You can email it down.
Yeah. Yeah, we got.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Wait, whenever you're, yeah. I guess,
We just want to go into this.
yeah, you can just go right in, or just kind of
Okay.
give us an overview of it and then.
Process, how you brought
Obviously,
people
yeah,
together.
obviously, I'm not gonna read this word for word because you have. it
Yeah.
in front of you. But in short, when we started this, we looked at. 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. And it's still a work in progress. But this is essentially a 1 year kind of overview of where we're headed. And the process. I spelled it out a little bit in the overview. That the entire department was involved in this in one fashion or another. And when I say one fashion or another, what I mean is that. Not getting everybody in the same room at the same time always works. So it went out via the department's email, the entire department. For, if you can't be there. As it says in here, a SWOT analysis, which I explained to the department in the email saying, look at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities and our threats. And some folks have never participated in some of these types of analysis before, but. So we got various things back that were along those guidelines, so they worked out. We had smaller groups that we sat down with to kind of review all this stuff that we gathered together. And basically blended it down and worked it down into these major categories. And identified within, the operational, recruitment and finance and facilities.
which are the biggest pieces of the whole organization, obviously. And everyone from the oldest members to the newest members obviously had different takes on how the department works. The older members knowing that the organization was built, you know, through donations and fundraising and putting the building together and all that kind of stuff. And the younger members coming in, looking at it, well, we're a funded fire department and we have a budget.
So we have a button?
We have a budget, so,
Okay.
and where does that budget come from? They may or may not know.
Right.
But the days of old and the, I guess the view of the older members of the department that built the department have a very set way of looking at things, and everything we've done is sweat equity kind of thing.
Yeah.
The newer members, and it's neither good nor bad, it's just an observation. Look at it as we're a service, we provide a service to the township. And therefore, there's a certain obligation from the town and the people we provide service to help us provide that by funding and so on.
Yeah.
So just to keep it kind of in perspective of where they came from and how we got to where this document came from. As I say, it was laid out in operations, recruitment and retention, which is obviously a big piece in a volunteer fire company. And the finance and funding and how we're going to continue to finance and fund and different ways of doing that. And our facilities in and of itself, how is that going to be impacted in the future, and both by regulation, you know, OSHA and things that we have to do to the building that we probably should do and maintain to maintain the health and safety of the department and so on. With all that said, in this document, the way it is, at the end of next year or towards the end of next year, go back to this document, review this document to see if we've made progress in any of these or identify things that are going to potentially cause us problems as far as blocking progress and how we're going to work around it. So that's it in a nutshell.
And I would like to just add that we honestly majorly struggled to try to pull this together.
Yeah.
And the only reason is there's so much that's changing in fire and EMS world right now. I mean, OSHA has on the table proposed regulations that's going to totally change and impact not only operationally, but financially, how we're gonna have to operate moving forward. I mean, just the memberships physicals are gonna be a lot more extensive, thank you. Not only the physical itself, but the costs. Right now, we're paying right around $200 per firefighter. It's estimated to jump close to $1,400 per firefighter. Now, what it truly means at a local level versus what they're proposing, but just that number alone, and that's why we found it until like some of these pieces are kind of played out, and we know where OSHA's gonna go and what NFPA is gonna do, because OSHA's now pulling some of the NFPA guidelines into OSHA, which puts a little bit more bite to it. So there's just a lot changing. At a local level, we have somebody that's proposing, you know, the development potentially would double the population of the village. And where that stands and how that's gonna do, and the membership requirements or response requirements.
Yeah.
And how are we gonna address that? So we found it really hard to set there and write much right now beyond the 1 year mark, because there's just way too much stuff that's up in the air.
We share the same, recruitment retention. My brothers and sisters sat behind me do. And I will second what's already been said. Right now, I can't explain to you guys. Every member you talk to when it comes to training, calls we go on mutual aid. Everybody is in a really happy, good place right now. Everybody's working together, we're training together. And now you see people on the scene from other departments and just bumping each other and hey, how's it going? And that wasn't there 3-5 years ago. So the strides that we've just made in the short, let's say the last 2 years. And I do have to thank the town board because what we went through earlier in the year brought us together even more. And I think that also helped our relationship with the town board as well. I think one of you guys had mentioned to Freeville, what's your relationship with the village board? We have a good relationship with them. But they keep reminding us that you can't get blood from snow. So that creates, a struggle for us because we can say we need this. Our members are your responsibility, you need to take care of them. And we get, well, we pay your workman's comp. And we pay your cancer benefit on top of what we pay. In my proposed budget, they're gonna get hit with a pretty significant increase next year, and I've already started talking to them. So it should be no surprise when the time comes, because I do remind them that we are the only essential service that they're required to have. The others are not. So they really need to start funding us to the level that it's needed. So that's a work in progress for us. Training, the Meridian training has worked really well. We're looking to maybe bring in some outside guest speakers, motivational speakers, and just other things that can help bring us all and give us new ideas, new trends. Because there's articles coming out in different fire publications all the time. What members are really looking for, and just saw that. I haven't had a chance to read, the article yet, but the findings were just published. So again, we have to adapt to that. And like I said, so I struggled and, we did try to come down and figure out, really, how are we going to get to some of these benchmarks when the benchmarks are just still being written?
Yeah, well, the benchmarks ideally would come out of the process of the identifying your strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. And it sounds like you had trouble getting buy-in from the company.
Well, everybody,
I can speak.
yeah, I was gonna say,
It's not so much buy-in as many, I shouldn't say many, a number of people hadn't participated in something like this. And some of the questions that were raised were, well, if I get this strength here, but I see a weakness in that strength, what line do I put that under? I said, put it under both, because it can work against us, it can work for us. It wasn't necessarily a buy-in as it was an understanding, I guess, is a better way of putting it. And one thing I wanted to piggyback on what Mark said with regards to trying to plan, being one of the older members in the department and having sat in the president's seat and the board chair and all that kind of thing. Years ago, we put together a substantial plan for the department, for apparatus, laid out in, and I don't do Excel very well, but one of the people do, laid out very well. We sat down and looked at it earlier in the year, and basically we can't look at it anymore because the cost of apparatus alone has gone through the roof, and it wouldn't even tie into what we have now. So now we're backtracking, looking at, okay, this was our replacement schedule. What if we push it out? How's it gonna work when we push it out? We haven't got through all that yet, but
we've been forced right now. There's one truck that should have been replaced 1.5 years ago. We're not even in the neighborhood of having the money set aside to replace the truck because the cost of the truck has virtually doubled what it would have cost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
That's
and,
right.
like I said,
Yeah.
so there's just been so many moving pieces trying to, you know, where's it gonna stop? I mean, like you said, it's not sustainable to keep having 17% increases or double-digit increases. But if the cost of turnout gear, the cost of fire apparatus, the cost of everything just keeps going up, our backs are against the wall because we have to provide this stuff.
Right, so
Yeah,
you
and-
itemize all that and it helps us all get on the same page. So those, of course, are our threats, the
And
escalating
I
inflation.
do also want to know that, or want you guys to know that. One of the last meetings we had together as chiefs, we're going to start looking at our policies, procedures, operating procedures. And trying to come up with, and eventually try to get all to be the same.
Mhm.
So we are working towards, you know, and by doing that, we're also hoping that that will help. Bring, you know, some of the duplication of services
Right.
down as well, which hopefully will bring the cost up. You know, so. We might be able to, you know, do more dual response and have, hey, you're bringing this, we're gonna bring this and collectively. Again, that's all new, we're still working through that, so to write a big plan that we just want to talk. And maybe we were trying to go too deep into this, I'm not sure.
It's
Work in progress.
it's partly too is what is it? Different people have as expectations for how you use the plan. So unlike a financial, plan. And I'm not the expert. I know there are experts here, and I'm not one of them, but I really see these as wonderful tools for collaboration conversations, both internally and then as a group, because it's like, wow, if like 4 groups all have the same thing that they identified as a weakness, great, then maybe there's not everyone has to reinvent the wheel alone. There's a partnership there. Or if there's something where one group has that as a strength and the other is a weakness, maybe there's an opportunity for synergy, right? But I personally don't think it's a negative if next year you came back and redlined 3 things, either because you met them earlier than you thought, or there's a massive technology change or something significant. And you're like, it's also a way to track and be like, wow, here we did a 180 on this one, but here's why. And then that's a communication tool to everyone in your own organization or the community to say, hey, we changed our goals, but here's why.
Right.
So people aren't wondering what happened. So I think these are beautiful, but I wouldn't have it stress you that it's not, that things are, it's a living document, right? It's
Yes.
not something
Well, that's
you're,
what I was gonna say, it's a living document, and the problem is. To try to do this in the summer months just became difficult because everybody's got personal lives, and to try to corral everybody, that's why we chose email.
but you did it.
Yeah, we did, not gonna say it didn't, none of the last 0 hour, but it's just, to try to do that, to do the budget and try to figure out the forecasting of all that. And then we have our ISO inspection on Tuesday, and it's just been a lot of crashing stuff. But thank you for your patience.
You have company meetings, once a month?
Yeah.
And would it be possible, I'm trying to think out going forward, how to get the rank and file feeling like they've got a say in or being heard, to do this in the next cycle. Could you say this month, we're gonna talk about, everyone think of a strength and just somebody collect that month, and the next month, think about a weakness. And certainly you guys can think about, your pride, the tradition, just thinking for your company, the profile of the community, weaknesses are certainly, retaining volunteers, making sure that you have a strong facility, maybe outgrowing your facility, your equipment, the opportunities, something like Ezra Village is an opportunity and a threat, right? You might get new volunteers, a thousand new people coming to town. But it's a threat because it's more coverage for you. And so I'm just thinking going forward, if rather than trying to get people to respond by email, on a sort of ad hoc basis, to get more participation, maybe at one of your meetings, just have that as an agenda item. In April, we're gonna talk about our strengths, in May, we're gonna talk about our weaknesses.
Not gonna wait that long. Our company elections and annual meeting is
Yeah.
in December. That's when we have the most attendance.
Right, I mean, you pick the month, I'm just.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm gonna hit the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Let's look at this, start now. And then we can all work towards, and my goal is to
Right.
have this rewritten and updated. Let's try to do it in the first 6 months.
Yeah, and then you aggregate that and think about what your benchmarks could be coming out of what you've heard.
By then, some of the unknowns, maybe no one at that point, we can better fine tune things.
Right.
On the I'm sorry, on the upside of it, we are already moving towards some of these goals and have been for a month or two.
Yeah, okay.
It definitely has made people do a lot of thinking. We did get a lot of input from people, but our membership is. What everybody brings to the table is kind of so vast, there's just so many different backgrounds. But what they were bringing is what was passionate to them. It was hard to get into building a big picture. That was some of the struggle, that I was dealing with.
Humans.
But in some organizations, this could be good for retention and participation. I mean. Where I work, we went through this last year and it was kind of cool to be heard on what I think our SWAT is for. The
Well,
department
it
where
was cool to
I-
see some of the stuff that they thought of.
Yeah.
That. I
Mhm.
didn't think about that, and I didn't, classify that as a strength or, a weakness, whichever it was they brought forward. To be able to talk and hear their thought. It was very educational, so, and I agree, so the process does, I think, make them feel like they have more about
Yeah.
it.
I personally always struggle with when you actually do reach one of the goals. There's always so many other goals, but it's, I have to remind myself, it's like, stop and put it on the wall, make a poster, give someone balloons because, it also is a nice tool to be able to.
Mhm.
For everyone to feel good for like 2 seconds,
And I am
For that.
looking forward to seeing what you guys come up and your vision of.
Yep.
Where you expect, us in relationship to the town and, because, there's no secret, we keep hearing rumors of, there's a big push for us to be one big fire district, or independence or whatever, so it's also tough for us to, plan our future when we don't know what your vision of the fire service is.
Mhm.
Because how, all of a sudden we get pushed into one big district. All these go out the window per se, because now we gotta figure out how we're all gonna regroup and. That would create a whole nother plan of how to do it. So like I said, it's just, there's just so many moving pieces to try to plan for the future. We don't know what your vision of the future is. So that's kind of why you need both sides of this,
Mhm.
to really make a good one for next year.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
have a good night, guys.
Um,
Is it okay if I admit I did not finish this whole document? Is it okay if I admit I did not finish reading your document? I read the other ones.
It was a very long document. We did create a PowerPoint presentation that
Oh, nice.
should have been shared with everybody through Cassie. If it's possible to get it projected up here, perhaps
Yeah, I can-
people on Zoom
I
can
can
see
do
that
that.
as well.
Yeah.
But that will just facilitate this for everybody and make it a little easier on the eyes after going through so many minutes of strategic plans. So perfect. I've met many of you or worked with many of you, but my name is Jesse. I'm the vice board chair of Verona Volunteer Fire Company. I'm also one of the fire captains. And today I'm before you all as the chair of our strategic planning committee, which we produced the 78-page document with a very in-depth analysis of our entire department functions. So to start off, a quick executive summary of what we've got. This breaks it down we started our analysis and categorized it into 6 larger categories. Being operations, finance, communications, personnel, logistics, and sustainability. We'll dive into each of these further, but these categories divide our goals and our analysis. And so this takes a large overview and breakdown of everything within our departments, what we hope to achieve, and the why behind it. We also included, if you're free to move to the next slide, our mission statement, vision statement, and core values to dive into who we are and what we do, what we hope to be, and who our personnel are. And so all of this is flowing through the documents. You can follow along on the slides here, or additionally, this is in line with how our document is set out, the entire document. But moving forward through that, so our vision statement is who we strive to be, both as leaders in the fire service and models of successful fire and rescue company. And that's something we hope to share. It doesn't, success for us isn't a true win unless we can share that with the town of Dryden and the rest of the departments, as well as the volunteer fire service as a whole. And moving forward now through our core values. So this is who we stand as, things we value, being community, integrity, teamwork, professionalism, and safety. This was done through a survey of our entire department, and these were chosen by our members. So in some ways, in addition to the core group of 15 to 20 people that developed this strategic plan, we have the input of each and every single member based on what they feel is the strength of the department or what they feel is most important to the department. Department upholding those values of community and integrity, teamwork, professionalism, and safety, both on scene and at the station for all sorts of tasks. If we can move to the next slide. So, as I mentioned, we broke down everything into our strategic goals. Just moving forward here into our operations strategy, what we want is effective emergency response. And that is accomplished through rapid response times, trained personnel, and safe operations. Each of those is further broken down into actionable objectives. I'm not going to go into those for the sake of time today, but you can find those in that document broken down in depth with assigned personnel who's going to be the lead on that, a time frame, whether it's a 1 year or 3 year or 5 year objective, or even a continuous objective, as well as specific metrics to accomplish, such as getting a responder or a vehicle out 90% of the time within 10 minutes, things like that, that we can look at and evaluate by the numbers to ensure that we're meeting the goals of our strategic plan. Moving into finance, what we want to do is spend smart, spend safe, and spend effectively. And that's accomplished through a diverse set of income streams. We've been successful with grants very recently in bringing some additional income into the department to pay for things that we wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to, such as all the SCBA packs that we just got very recently, as well as being future oriented and investing for the future. In terms of communications, what we want is clear and concise information transmission. And that is both including interoperability in the town of Dryden with the other departments, outreach with our community and showing up to events to show that our responders are connecting with the membership or the community, as well as top-down and bottom-up communication within our department to ensure that the message goes from the chief to the membership very quickly, and then any concerns go from the membership to the chiefs as needed to ensure that we're having that quick, concise, clear communication. As far as personnel, we're very lucky to have many members of the Varna Volunteer Fire Company, and our goal is to continue to accept and mentor high-quality personnel. Recruitment is one aspect, but retention is another. And so that's why our goals include incentivizing active membership, recruiting members of the community, and in the middle right now of recruiting students as well, and then offering plentiful leadership training as well as training in general to ensure that all of our members have a ladder in growth of success and there's no stagnation and people continue to progress. Moving now to logistics. What we want to do is maintain and invest in all of our equipment and apparatus. We have some very old, ancient equipment that thankfully, due to maintenance, we have kept in service as long as it has been. But per NFPA and per other regulations, much of our apparatus is past its due date. And it's time to invest in the future. And so that comes through facilities expansion, because our membership is practically bursting at the doors of our fire station. That includes fleet renewal, as well as smart equipment site. Moving now to sustainability, one thing we want to do is continue to make future focused decisions, thinking about the impact on the environment, thinking about the impact on people. And so that includes environmentally friendly practices and reviewing some of our key practices and how we operate, always being thoughtful of our maintenance and continuing to grow and teach and learn. Moving now to our environmental analysis, we accomplished all of this through SWOT, PEST, and then PPF. So we analyzed the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats of our departments. We dove into the political, economic, social, and technological factors affecting each of those 6 categories in our department. And finally, we took a macro lens looking at the past operations, the present, as well as the future. And so our environmental analysis really provided the why to everything we have going on. If you move to the need to know slide, this is basically taking that entire 78-page document and condensing it into 2 slides. So if perhaps it was a really daunting document and you didn't get the opportunity to read it, no worries. Because
I promise I will.
we have it summarized very neatly in these last 2 slides here. So for operations, we have strong responses with lots of personnel. We train very frequently in all sorts of aspects, and safety is our #1 priority. Looking ahead, what we need to focus on is attaining additional training resources, such as having consistent access to a training center and things such as a forcible entry door that would allow us to take our trainings from the high level that they're at now and push that even higher up. In terms of finances, we have a very solid financial management and we utilize grants, as I mentioned, for supplemental income. However, we do see on the horizon some major expenses coming up, especially as it relates to apparatus. Our aging fleet has many vehicles that we need to replace, and it's often a game of which vehicle is going to need maintenance and need to be replaced first, because they are so old at this point. In terms of communications, we have clear and effective communication internally with the public and between the departments in the time of driving. One vision we have, and using the strategic plan as a stepping stone, is we want to increase even more the interoperability between the departments. Our vision or our goal is having some shared best practices, some shared ideas for how we can all operate. Because as I said at the beginning, a success for Varna isn't really a win if it stays only at Varna. If we're doing something well, we want to share it with the other departments that are here in the room so we can all win, whether it's recruitment and retention, whether it's communications, whether it's vehicle response. We all want to win together. Moving now to this second to last slide. In terms of personnel, we are very, very lucky that we have a diverse set of membership from students from Cornell, as well as long-term residents. And so we continue to invest in our members with facilities benefits, such as having TVs to play shows and video games. We just put some money into our gym so that members can work out there. And additionally, we are continually investing in our membership so that it's not just this stagnant period once they complete BFO or IFO, but we're pushing them to continuously train and build that experience. Logistically, as I mentioned, our station is cramped. I didn't include any pictures here, but there are plenty of pictures of places where you simply cannot squeeze past the truck or cannot squeeze to get your gear because there is not enough space. And so what that means is we need to look into the future for an investment in our facilities and potential expansion as well to accommodate our massive amount of membership as well as our fleet. And in terms of speaking of that fleet, we had a report done by the Emergency Vehicle Response, EVR, Mike Wilbur, where he provided some really awesome insight and provided a very detailed plan for our vehicle replacements. And so using that, vehicle replacement requires absolutely prudent attention. As far as replacing our tanker, potentially the heavy rescue, as well as our brush truck. Those are all things that are quickly approaching and also very expensive. Further, as the Varna community develops and these buildings grow taller and taller, we will need a ladder truck. That is something that we built into our 5-year plan. Approaching 2030 is when we're going to need to start looking into that, because these developments are going to simply outpace our own capabilities with the vehicles that we have. And so that is an absolute need. We are lucky now that we can rely on our friends at Dryden and other places for their ladder truck, but it simply just takes too much time to travel that distance. And when these developments come in, we need to be able to respond to our communities so that we can keep them safe. And lastly, all of these decisions we are making are future oriented in terms of being green and environmentally focused in our investments. And we've done so through things like purchasing electronic flares. And we just received a grant from FEMA for a diesel exhaust capture system. So we are continuously making these upgrades to our facilities, to our station, to ensure that they are as future focused as possible. Now, just any questions that you have, please.
A really basic question.
Yes.
What's a forcible entry door?
Yeah, so it basically is a practice door for when you need to quickly enter a building, but the door is locked. There's specific methods you would use to gain access, such as any of these doors right here, in order to potentially save a life or enter the building.
Okay.
As you can imagine, you don't want to do it on any actual permanent door because of damage and destroy and there's kind of there.
So you need a constant rotating doors you can destroy.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so we can practice on theory as much as we want, but in reality, unless you're actually practicing doing it, it's.
Just curious.
Yeah.
A random question out of a very, very detailed thing, so I apologize for the minutia question.
I'll be specific. And to clarify too, just for our friends here, the training center was not referring to like a replication of what we have available for cooperation with Aetna. It's more like a training facade for different kinds of trainings than what is currently possible.
So I'll ask the same question I've asked every department regarding participation. You got a lot of input here. Do you feel like you have, I mean, you have what, close to 50 people in your program?
About 80 members. Yeah.
About 80. What percentage would you say got some input on this?
I would say we had a core group meeting between bi-weekly and weekly and doing in-depth analysis and brainstorming of 20 people, so approximately a quarter of the department. And then, as I mentioned, whatever participation rate participated in the survey, so say maybe 60% or 50% of whatever that number is, provided input for our core values and some of those other aspects.
And it's, you know, it's a great job. Is this something that has been presented now to your membership, that your membership has access to, that you've talked about as a group?
Yes.
That's fantastic. I would think that you've done something similar already. Is this Varna's first strategic plan?
Yes,
It's your
this
first,
was
okay.
completely pulled from scratch, and we hope that it works as a living document that can be updated as needed in the future.
Yeah, so you did some neat things here beyond just applying SWOT, you know, doing the pest, you know, and the politics and what was it, the EPI, which I think past, present, future, sorry, analysis to various components within your department. So that's a way to take SWOT and take it to another level of analysis, which I think is great. It's hard to do if you're going to have 80 people participating. That's why I had to ask off the bat, were you able to do that? But it is a way to drill down to that next level of, you know, analysis of a department. I think it's very helpful in that regard. And the feedback from those who participated, how did that go?
I think everyone was really happy with the product and the input that they put in. I think this strategic plan really highlighted, honestly, a lot of strengths and victories that the department has had over the past few years, because the department was in a very different state, say 3 years ago when I first joined. And this allowed us to reflect back and see how much progress we've made and how much progress we're gonna continue to make.
Mhm. I mean, overall, a strategic plan is about sustainability, so if I could, make one suggestion, I'm glad that you have a environmental sustainability section, you might want to. Identify that as environmental sustainability, and sustainability is a broad term that we seek in just about everything we do, right? And particularly in government, can what we do be sustained? Will the next board be able to make sense of what this board did? So.
Quadruple line decision making.
So, that would be my only, sort of word use thing that you might want to keep in mind, but this is a really great document, and clearly you've had some training in this. No? You read some books real quick, because it's well done, it's well organized.
Thank you. I was familiar with SWOT and some other analysis things from just previous work experience, and I think that assisted in being able to build this out. But really, it was a huge team effort. Like I mentioned, that core 15 to 20 people was meeting and brainstorming every other week, if not every week, towards the end of the summer, and that went on for 3 months, I would say. And so it was a lot of hard work from a lot of good people.
Yeah, and I would imagine new prospective members or new members would want to see this, you'd want to share it with them, so you know what the department's all about, and that goes with all the departments, and in town government, that's what we do with our comprehensive plan, just to show what we're all about. But this is I think a good selling point for your department.
I think it was good too, because the core group consisted of probably the longest term member and some people who had just joined. So it was a really good mix of people. Yeah.
Yeah, we really tried to get a diverse set of experiences and input, and we had brand new members, probationary members, along with firefighters, EMTs, captains, officers, board members, and any variety of experiences to put this together.
And was there resistance at first, and then maybe they embraced it, or did they mind coming to extra meetings, or?
Yeah, I think everyone was pretty into it. Occasionally we tried to meet as best as we could at a time that would work for everyone. Occasionally people found their input was best done remotely. But I think everyone got the idea and was on the same page really quickly, which was awesome. And we specifically held brainstorming sessions where it was kind of similar to the sticky notes. Everyone put their ideas together and we went broad, and then we narrowed that down into specific points of focus that brought this report together.
One thing I really do like is your section 5 formatting, because you capture a timeline, but you also capture who's tasked with those pieces. And it's a nice way of showing where some people might have too much on their plate, and other places where people are engaged in that's a nice tool for long-term workload balancing and things like that too. So
certainly.
Format.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No. I was going to say, we also find that assigning specific timelines and personnel to a task prevents it from floating into that free space of saying, oh, we need to get it done, and then there's nobody who's directly responsible for it. By putting that timeline and the key personnel attached to each goal, we know who to focus on and who is going to be spearheading that effort so that we can make sure it gets done.
And it's not overwhelming for the fire chief, thinking you have to do everything.
Yeah. Nice work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And great presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
So,
Just a quick word to all the departments. I know this was a lift and maybe a pain, but the level of information that's been exchanged is deeply appreciated. So we better understand our commitment and our needs and what you are facing. So.
yeah, thank you. And then I guess we'll be in, I guess we have to schedule the budget meetings too, so I'll Probably. We could probably do them just the first week, I would think, like the for next month's first meeting, you know, the end of like just at the end of it, because I know at the beginning we have to do one public hearing, but I think it would start like, I'll be in touch. I think like probably 7 o'clock-ish or something like that. Cause there's no need, I don't know if we need to set aside a non-regular night for the. So we put out
Yeah.
the,
I think we did last year.
the board will get the budget, or proposed budgets on the end of this month. And then we just need to have our meetings about it.
Yeah, last year we did a special night.
Yeah, we did that, yeah, we can also do them on like the first meeting, or some of them, and
Yeah.
then just choose different nights for everything, so we're not here forever.
It's not enough.
So we can pick those nights next week.
Okay, so bring your calendars.
Yeah.
Your doodlefuls.
Yep. All right. Cool, thank you. All right. Sure.
Is there any information or reports that have been turned in or anything else that the fire departments need to be aware of? What's being worked on, what's being looked into, research that's being done, anything that the fire departments need to be aware of to start working?
I mean, we want to at least like,
We haven't had any at all, so.
oh, you mean for the budget, you mean, or?
You mean before when you were saying you felt like there was master plans happening outside your,
Well, I mean, we haven't had, you know, when we've done these meetings before, we've asked for any communications that have been happening with the coordinator and you guys, we passed along to us, and we've received nothing in months. So is there anything we need to be aware of, any reports that have been turned in, any information that the fire departments need to know?
that I'm aware of?
I wish there was, but.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with that, but, going back to you guys talking about the EV and putting in EV charging stations. Is any information or request been put in for EV fire delinquents? In these charging stations?
Oh,
We're not aware of that as.
Yeah, I'm not aware.
Practice,
No.
that even in the commercial EV charging stations that I visit, I've never seen a
I just know.
blanket.
Because I'm part of the business that, that looks into the fire stuff, and there is something in line right now, that anybody that commercially, or has an advantage of having an EV station, or makes money from that, or anything like that, coming down the line.
Did you send a link or something to me? I'd like to read up on that, if you don't mind.
Right, that could very well be a state regulation. I'd be surprised if it's a federal.
And then, you know, this is just giving you a heads up on that stuff.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of these fires that are happening, and these blankets keep spreading, it's for safety of public and people's nearby and fire.
It'd be great.
It's a good idea.
It'd be good to know more about that. If you could, do you mind sending me something?
Yeah, and I actually, know a place out of Florida that they'll, I'm gonna talk to the other fire departments about this. They'll actually come to a presentation on lithium ion, car fires, blankets, things like that.
Awesome. Okay. Is that something like, at least for the charging stations, that would be in the, like, the code, like town code, or should it be? I mean,
The way they're looking at it right now, what we were told in my last training, is that they're looking, nationwide, they're looking at all these EV things, but there's so little training on them, so few regulations as far as, safety. And they're actually looking at any charging station or, manufacturers have. But now, like the places that sell EV cars, the dealerships are gonna be required to have them, because you don't want one to catch fire and then it's spreading all the cars in the lot.
Well, it shouldn't just be something that comes with the car.
Sure, that's all.
yeah.
So your car bursts into flame.
It's in the works, right there, so it's not required at this moment.
Mhm.
But it is being looked at, talked about, and I think there are some kind of law that they're looking for anybody, especially makes money off. They're gonna have to have a plan.
Okay.
Just be aware if I find out more on.
Have you guys thought about hosting the OFPC course? They have a really good course,
What we see,
the electric vehicles. That's available. And it's free.
yeah. Any training that we can get is gonna be beneficial with that stuff, because there's so little. of it.
Are you, I mean, I'm glad to bring this to our attention, but you know, as somebody who owns an EV, this is just a subject that never comes up. And it's fairly rare, statistically. You know, the number of EVs that catch fire compared to,
18 people died in New York City last year with lithium ion fires in electric bikes and cars. Because they were trapped in their homes, they were parked outside and couldn't get out.
so. Okay, so
That's
EVs
serious.
at homes catching fire and
And
catching the garage on fire in the house.
I mean, lithium ion, that's the EV bikes, that's
Yeah.
cars, any.
Okay.
The bikes are the bigger issue right now, correct? That's what I'm hearing.
Because people are bringing their bikes inside.
Right, but they're also just not always made with the same level of quality as a.
Yeah.
Just kind of put in perspective, the fire that caused Chrysler's now
Mhm.
was knockoff wall battery. It's something as small as a wall battery,
Yep.
so it has something still that started
Yep.
that fire. That took out the whole building.
I don't doubt that it happens. I'm just looking at the statistics right now. It's 25 per 100,000 sold last year of EVs caught fire. 1,500 per 100,000 of internal combustion cars caught fire. So it's relatively rare. I mean, if you think it's necessary to prepare for such a rare,
Because it's.
Yeah.
Looks like there's something they're sending down the line.
Mhm.
Big, hurricane they had a couple years ago, down in Fort Myers, Florida. 75% of EV vehicles that were exposed to water caught fire within 40 days.
okay.
75%. So when they're exposed to water, especially anything salt
Sure.
water, we don't have here.
If they're submerged.
potential is
right.
there. So,
I
and that's why we're looking.
I have a question for Gina, actually, because I know you did the battery storage systems presentation. Are you familiar with the electric vehicles too?
It's different.
I know it's, yeah, it's a little different, but do you have any?
NYSERDA actually pulled that
Oh,
class because they wanted to rework it.
Okay.
Any commercial industry now that has any kind of lithium ion drills, anything like that, will be, I want to say first quarter next year, will be law that.
Yep.
Anyway, just keep in mind. that from
Yeah.
EV stuff, it's not.
It's, yeah, and my understanding is it's safer, but it doesn't mean that we don't understand and follow best practice as much as possible.
Okay, cool, thanks. Right, so this stuff that's, we gotta do a,
There it is.
Like an executive.
11%.
all right, so. Next week we have, the rail trail easement they're gonna be on the, for both Freeville and Village Dryden at 6:05. That public hearing, the Morris Road one got postponed to
Wait, wait,
October.
Alice,
Oh, yep,
So public hearing on rail trail easements with the villages of Greenville and Dryden.
yeah,
I think I want to just check to make sure that we're working with the same document that Greenville and Nathan submitted.
Yeah, so Nate is working with Natalie, who's the attorney for Prevail, so they're both gonna hash out the last changes to that, so they have the new draft that was early August.
Okay.
So they're working from that and will arrive at the consensus document. And Nate promises that before the hearing.
And they're on track to do that before
Yep.
this public hearing.
Yep.
Good, okay, thank you. I heard from a trustee who.
I talked with Miles the other day.
Fogel, who said that they hadn't heard back from us. Since August, they sent us their latest wishes and projects, but.
It's now integrated. It's now integrated into their discussions between Nate and Natalie.
Yeah.
Good, okay, thank you.
Now we had the Morris Road, solar project that's postponed to October. And then there's also gonna be a presentation from Lifelong Services, next week.
Yeah.
All right, and then, so, the other two things for tonight, so for you did the interviews with, those are folks from DRYC, the committee, you know, going over those, RFPs, but you said you want to do an executive session. And I guess what's I gotta figure out if it's actually why it would be executive versus open.
So in our interview yesterday with one of the consultants, they raised concerns that have to do with the wetlands, and the ability to specifically really honor the agreement for the right of way.
Okay, but what about that would make it an executive session bit though? Because that's what I don't.
Whether to hire this company or not.
Yeah.
And you would identify the name in the discussion, so that might not be public information.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when we discussed it at the interview, I think a couple of people mentioned maybe we do an executive session with that.
Okay, so
Could you do it without identifying the company?
Yeah.
yeah, I just know we can't it's not discussing a contract or.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, yeah, it's there to do, it's like, I mean, I don't identify everyone in particular, that should be fine, right?
I would think so,
Yeah. So there.
it sounds like a question we're gonna have to deal with the town attorney anyway.
Yeah,
But they're not here to advise us, so I can't do that.
Isn't, or would we go over it with the county planning and making sure that we're respecting zoning law? I mean, not zoning, wetlands law. It's a question of making sure that we're not infringing on a wetland, and if we are, how do we mitigate it?
it has to be protected wetland, we made it pretty clear that because of the type is governed by the state, and so it would be very hard to be allowed to even disrupt it or mitigate it, and if so, it would turn into a very expensive process to get a road through that part. And so as discussing what our plans were for the land, so the consultant had an idea of what we want to do, what was feasible. They brought up to us right away that part of the project seems like it really might not be possible, because we might not be able to get approval. To disrupt those specific wetlands.
So is it certain, I'm looking up certain sections, or is it like, is it the whole area, like the area that used to be the where the bandstand was and where the track was, or is it?
So the whole area is type 1.
Okay. Okay.
Oversight. For financial and we're gonna take permits to get it.
And
get approvals.
yeah, and essentially, gas approval say turn into a very cost. Like, yeah.
About an acre of.
Plus the 100 foot buffer.
That's just getting basically.
Yeah.
But David, the whole area is not all, I'm looking at the map right now, and it's about 1/3.
70. Well, it's getting to the top where the agreement.
The easement was.
Yeah.
They're talking about the access part for Cornelius to his land.
Up here.
Everything's 100 foot buffer.
So you're talking, it's just it's the area where that access agreement was, not the rest of the. You're not talking about the whole parcel, but that.
Not the whole person to access it, and really essentially it looks like that it probably would just be that 7 acre part that would be usable and the most cost effective also to do any kind of development. Because even if that's that 4 acre parcel that's up at the top there, you still would have to go through the wetlands and buy it, to access it. And even when we had asked them about what if you do the, you know, floating boardwalks that you put over wetland, they said for this type specifically, that's still not allowed. We try to think cheap.
So to go through that, you got. Yeah, if they would allow.
If they do allow.
But and they said it was 1 to 3 swap, so you take an acre out, you provide 3 kilometers. And the cost is about 100,000 per acre.
And I think Joe said that the plants out there, that's like a huge part of it too.
Okay.
So basically the main concern is, yes, there are spots that are usable, but having that agreement for that access road, we can't even do that top portion, basically, but that road agreement is, concern.
Okay.
I think the concern is, we just do the advice with you guys, that you're getting into a bunch of money here.
Well, I wish we had the draft plan that we could throw up.
You want to just see the map?
Yeah, so we all get on the same page here because I'm having trouble reconciling what you're saying with the delineation map that we paid for.
Yeah, it's in there, it's page 11 in your draft memo that you pulled from, right?
I think I got.
Or Dylan,
So that's showing that delineation with a 100-foot buffer on it.
Oh, because of the 100-foot buffer. Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, like if we can show, what they're showing us. Was that, you know, the idea was the access point to go up here, and even if. Like, even across these. Would cost a lot of money to do, and they also said to get approval, you need a very good dollar reason. So they weren't even confident. That if we went for the approval process for a permit. That the state would be okay with it too, because it has to be like. Solid, like, and I don't know what really we would necessarily do that. Would meet their, you know, it's not past us to what they would. Find acceptable.
I'm still confused because the delineation map that we got last year, last September, shows the state delineated area down near Neptune, but not in this eastern quadrant at all, where you see the green.
Well, there's the green right here, but across.
That's not on this map. So where does the green come from? Where'd that map come from?
P&L did the actual wetland delineation, came up with all the green area,
Yeah.
and that's half of the 87 acre parcel.
But where'd they get that? That's not what we supplied. I mean.
No, that's what we bought, was their delineation.
I got this.
This is what we bought.
No, this is the fire mapping, which is just a gross scale.
Revised. September 23.
Yeah, this is before the delineation, so part of this is Corps of Engineers, part of this is deep sea, and part of this is the top.
regulated wetlands.
Yeah, deep sea.
Right.
So this is the prior mapping, before the more detailed delineation that we're looking at there.
A year ago.
This trumps.
This is the official map. A year ago.
Well, okay, so first question, why does that say September 23 if it's the prior one?
That was a compilation of the existing records in 2023. Before we ordered the delineation.
Do we have?
So
Where's the delineation map?
On the screen.
Wow. I don't recall ever seeing that, because if we'd seen that, we'd know this thing can't happen.
Well, there's a way of trading off, and now we're finally getting a cost figure to that trade-off.
Yeah, because it's always like, there's like ways we can do wetlands,
Yeah.
like a trade-off and type.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware of that.
With like, this is the time, it's like, it's enough.
Yeah, I think that 100-foot buffer makes a real difference.
Yeah.
Like when you take that yellow line off, it looks like there's a lot more space than there is.
Yes.
So really, there's a 7-acre tract right between town hall and DPW.
Yeah,
And actually, that's a little bit less because DPW was taking some of that on their equipment. So let's say there's 6 plots, and then there's a 4-acre tract.
that one, that little part that sticks down from the top.
4-acre. And then there's another little 1-acre tract up at the top, or the corner there. And that's about it. That they were down was really feasible for all of it. So, so you get this cost, the 7-acre tract or the 6-acre tract. You could probably do something without having to do anything.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but the rest of it, which includes the road.
Did not.
Right, because we didn't include Cornelius as, we decided not to do that, right? Because there were concerns about
Yep,
incorporating that in the review.
yep,
Because that would have given us, Cornelius's property would give us access to that space up there, right?
Yeah, but I think part of the issue though is that we have a right of way agreement where we're supposed to build access there.
yeah, but I think he would, that we could deal with that.
Yeah, no, I like, well, we need to bring it to your head anyways.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a problem and it needs to be discussed and. Yeah, I'm not sure, like, we need to, I guess, probably need to. Go to hearing the advice as to what to do and discuss, but. It doesn't seem like it'd be feasible, and then the other part is. Our plans for what we're gonna develop then. Are gonna be significantly less, in which case that also. We feel probably means. The RFP and what we're asking for consultants to do would be less.
yeah,
Without charging, because we're looking at a significantly smaller project.
yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah, okay, I'm, but
So,
there is space for both here.
Where?
The vision of using that type of experience, something that done before and having done.
Okay.
Of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but. I think what we decided, we just needed to, that the part of the agreement.
Well, actually, this is kind of what we wanted them to tell us, what is feasible here,
Yeah.
right? And what could be developed, we had a list of things a wish list, basically, that we've struggled to produce, but we did. And, but what we want to be told is what is actually feasible, so I think this is good, it's progress.
It's helpful, it changes the trajectory of things, it also seems like since we probably have to lessen the amount, do we need to amend the RFP, we're in the middle of selecting someone, we're trying to become 2 different candidates. At the
Yeah.
moment. They probably can give us a different price, we say, it's this, but does that have to be?
yeah,
There?
Well, I guess what we would ask, we could try and figure out right now how to amend it, or you could come back to us with a proposal for amending it. What your committee thinks we should do.
yeah,
Um,
I think that would be the way to do it.
To provide a proposal to amend it.
yeah, and I think everyone's expectations need to be kind of checked. In terms of the reality of what is possible here.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing all this work, though. I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's a lot.
So,
I definitely appreciate it. It's like, letting us know. I have the interview before we get it.
So did both consultants point this out, or just one?
Who's one of the consultants?
The other one didn't pick up on it as much?
They did, but there were more,
The upfront one myself, but
One was very straightforward and one is. We've done stuff.
Are you sure you want to do
Yeah, kind of like, well, I guess that's the sign of a good,
Yeah,
analysis.
But even the boardwalk, that's gonna take questions, if they get approved for that.
I see,
So that's, so everything sort of changes the whole scope of everything.
Yeah.
And I guess the road, the right. of way,
Chat and,
Yeah, so I mean, I can write up a proposal, then we can. So we can do that and circulate, the conservation board and has, you also, that we figure out what the amendment will look like.
So the portion that would be developed or could be developed is closer to town hall, correct? And there, we lack access to the part that's further north, right?
Yeah.
4 acres.
And that's just not developable.
can't get there.
Can't get that from here.
get there from here.
As I say, I mean,
Developable, yes, access to it. So if we install zip lines and.
Yeah, really.
like you think,
Hey,
granted,
I like zip.
If we stay
they'd have to be accessible.
Freeze Road Bridge.
Stop.
You still gotta deal with what you go, as the one consultant that brought their wetlands expert. And so that person is saying, because of the type of wetlands, because it's overseen by state EDC, then it's federal, then they're just concerned about the pylons going into the ground. EDC, state EDC is concerned with everything above the ground.
All right, I know you said this just a moment ago, but how much land could we use for ball fields if that we had access to?
Right, 6.
6 acres?
Well, there's 7 there, and you say, that's saucer there, maybe we could try.
Yeah.
So, there's, on the map that we provided to the consultants to use for the RFP. There's a little over 7 acres in that one spot that's used. Now, some of that may be currently have some stuff on it from.
And in a best case scenario, how many fields can fit on 7 acres? Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or they have.
Parking.
Yeah, so now that we're doing something different now, that's why we have. It was important to us to fit in the 7 acres first.
Yeah, the 6 acre event they showed us, it was one vehicle could fill and.
Tennis court, soccer,
Oh, okay.
a swimming pool, and then we're pool bathroom, splash pad, and love parking.
Which we got.
Water park.
We don't splash there.
Yeah, we're good. Clear out of water. So we were able to fit stuff in, I don't know.
I don't think there was, I think it was just like,
Would there be opportunity to work with the, is it the school right across the street that has the bus garage and the mechanic? I'm just wondering if it looks like they've got square footage over there outdoors that's parking lot space. It would mean people crossing the street, but I don't know if there might be a negotiation available there. No, okay.
probably not, I mean, it just. From where it's located through the highway department too, which is safety issues, and they have a lot of people too.
Okay.
All right, so how much time do you guys need to take this back to your committee and come back to us?
You're wasting.
Okay, so
So I could write something up. Proposal on it that we can. Then circulate it to. Things are gonna get town board, communication board, asking the BRYC before our next meeting.
and process wise, can we amend an RFP after we?
Well, you would say it's unsuccessful and go out
And
again.
do it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we just like repost it or like when we? Is that allowed?
That's, you probably have to do a 2-week posting, but yeah, you certainly limit it.
Yeah, just do the minimum, so you gotta be for it.
Now, we do still have a continuing obligation to provide access to the parcel to the north, so that's still,
And you can't get there from here.
I mean,
Well.
yeah.
On a bridge.
So that's, I think, that'd be great, I think that's one of the things. we would like to share. That's it. If we knew that would be.
We don't want to option.
What to do on that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good.
It's gonna cost, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cost.
It's not, I mean, I can argument. It's for road.
Or we buy land from the people right there. Langton.
Okay, well,
All right. Yeah, so I just, we're,
I'll just, I'll. put it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're like seeing then. Repost it,
okay.
That one that I back on.
Yeah, sure. You got one more, but the way to do it, this one will be an executive.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks.
Alright.
Oh, man. All right, so, we're gonna move to go to executive session to discuss a contract. With, that's, well, we'll go there.
go in there and find out.
Should we turn our Zooms off or leave them going?
Yeah, I gotta just pause the report, so.
Yeah.
Recording.
Thanks. Oh.
We left for executive session 8:27, it's now 8:40, came back, discussed an issue about a contract, no action yet. And move to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
Right.
Okay,
Thanks.
right.